Alright, good morning, students. Today we will start with the rest of the portion of chapter 1, that is the adventure of the blue carbuncle. So far, what we have discussed in this chapter, that the writer visited the house of the Sherlock Holmes. There, Sherlock Holmes showed him a hat and narrated the whole story, that how Peterson, the commissioner at his place, got the goose, got the hat, and now when he tried to return it back to the person, because the goose was getting bad, so they cooked it and they had the head, and with the help of the head and the card that was tied to the leg of the goose, they found out that there is someone, Mrs. Henry Baker, to whom both the things belonged. But there are n number of bakers. There are 1,000 of bakers in the city, and many of them are with the name Henry. So it was very much difficult for them to find out to whom the things belong. Now, on the basis of the hat, although the hat was in a very poor condition, that it was difficult for someone to wear that hat. But on the basis of the hat, Holmes derived some of the information about that person. What was that information? That he must be a middle aged man, gray hair, clever. Once he was rich, but now he is not. And then the writer asked certain questions to Holmes, so that what was the reason for such deductions. So for each of his question, he explained that he found a gray hair in the lining of the hat. That's why the color of the hair of the owner of the hat must be gray. The hat is big in size, so he must be having brains. That's why he mentioned him clever. And when they were discussing all these things, the Peterson, who got the goose and the hat, came running to them. And what did he inform them? That the wife of Peterson, who was cooking the goose, found a rare blue diamond while she was cooking the goose. In the goose, she found that rare blue diamond. Now, both of them, the writer and the Holmes, recalled that somewhere they have heard about this blue diamond, that it was stolen from the Hotel Cosmopolitan, and one of the attendant of that hotel blamed a plumber who went inside that room to repair something. This much we have discussed. That finally they found a new clue about that, about the owner of the hat and the goose with the help of the diamond. But now they have a new mystery to solve, that they have to find the owner of that diamond also. Now I'm starting further. You see, Watson, our little deductions have suddenly assumed a much more important and less innocent aspect, said Holmes thoughtfully. The question for us to solve now is the sequence of events leading from a riffled jewel case at one end to the crop of a goose in Tottenham Court Road at the other. So now the Holmes told to his friend that now we have something else to solve. The gem at one hand and the goose on the other hand, and both of the things were found at the different places in the city. So now they have to solve this mystery, that how that stolen gem, the blue diamond, came into this goose. For now, they were only searching for the author of the hat and the goose. Now, another mystery added to that, they have to find the owner of the goose and the hat, and they also need to find out how that blue diamond that was stolen from the Hotel Cosmopolitan was found in the goose. The first step Holmes took was to place the following advertisement in the papers. Now, what Watson asked him earlier, he did the same. The first step that he took now was he gave an advertisement in the newspapers found at the corner of Good Street, a goose and a black felt hat. Mr. Henry Baker can have the same by applying at 6:30 this evening at 221B Baker Street. So here he gave the description of the things that were found there. Also, he mentioned the time and the address so that the person, the owner of the hat and the goose could come there and could collect his belongings. And what was the purpose of giving this thing? What was the purpose of giving this advertisement? Earlier, he did not give the advertisement. Now, because another mystery, another story was associated with the goose. So, to solve that mystery, to solve that story, they need to find out the person who was the owner of both of these things. This brought Baker to Holmes, and after a little conversation, it became quite clear to us that he was innocent. So, after seeing the advertisement, the person who was the owner of that hat and goose came to the given address where he met Watson and Sherlock, and they had a conversation with him in order to find out the story. What happened? How did he get the goose? And after having a little conversation, both of them, the Watson and the Holmes, found that that person, means Mr. Henry Baker, was innocent. He was not guilty of stealing the diamond. So Holmes gave him a fine goose to replace the one he lost and sent him off very happy and contented. So when both of them were satisfied that Mr. Henry Baker was innocent, Holmes gave him another goose. Why? Because the one that they found was getting bad, so they cooked it. So, to replace the loss of that person, he provided him another goose, and when he got that, he was very happy and contented, means satisfied. The next step was to trace the sailor of the goose. Now, what was the next step? Since they found that the person, Mr. Henry Baker, was not involved in that mystery, in that story, so now the next person that they were searching for is the person who sold that goose to Mr. Henry Baker, because from there they could have a clue about the blue diamond. Some questioning of Mr. Baker led us to the sailor, Mr. Breckenbridge. Now, here comes a new name in the story. And what is that? What is the name of the sailor who sold the goose to the Mr. Baker? Mr. Breckenbridge. A little conversation with him, and we found Mr. Baker's goose for Christmas had come from a lady called Mrs. Oakshott. Now, another name. When they went to Mr. Breckenbridge, who sold that goose to Mr. Henry Baker, they found a new name of Mrs. Oakshott, who gave that goose to Mr. Breckenbridge for the Christmas. And where was she? At the Brixton Road. As Holmes and I were making plans to contact Mrs. Oakshott, we heard a hubbub near Mr. Breckenridge. Now, the meaning of the hubbub is given noise and confusion. So, when Henry Baker gave them the name Mr. Breckenridge, they went to meet him, and when Mr. Breckenridge gave the name Mrs. Oakshott, now both of them were planning to go and meet her. But by the time they were planning all this, they heard a noise near Mr. Breckenbridge. The goose sailor was shaking his fists at a little rat faced man who was winning that the goose was his. Ha! This may save us a visit to Brixton Road, whispered Holmes and went after that man. What was happening there? What was the noise? Because what was the reason for the noise there? Because a man came there, and that main man was claiming that the goose that Mr. Breckenridge has sold to Mr. Henry Baker was actually his. And both of them were discussing, or actually both of them were arguing about it, so that's why the noise was there. And when Watson and Holmes found him there, the man who was actually claiming for the goose, now they thought that their mystery could be solved here. They need not to visit Mrs. Oakshott, because the person here himself was claiming for the goose. The man, it turned out, was Ryder, the hotel attendant. Now, who was that man who was claiming that the goose belonged to him? This was the same man who was the hotel attendant at the Hotel Cosmopolitan, who blamed a plumber for the theft of the blue diamond. He was Mrs. Oakshott's brother. And what is his relation with the Mrs. Oakshott? He was the brother. She bred geese for the table for her living and had promised Ryder a fine goose for Christmas. Now, how did he get the goose? Because that lady was in this business of breeding and selling the goose for earning her bread, and he promised her brother Ryder a very good goose for the Christmas. Ryder, who had given evidence against the plumber, was the one who had stolen the gem. Now, who had actually stolen the gem? The rider, the attendant himself, stolen the gem, and to save himself, he blamed the plumber. And he also gave the evidence against that plumber. He went to see his sister with the gem in his pocket. He put it into the mouth of the goose. He thought that his sister had reserved for him to avoid being caught red handed. And this is how the blue diamond came in the mouth of the goose. When the rider theft that blue diamond, then he went to meet his sister, and since his sister had promised him to give a fine goose for the Christmas, he thought that was the goose that she reserved for him, that she was going to gift him. So he put that diamond in the mouth so that he could avoid himself to be caught. However, he got the wrong goose, and the goose that had the gem got sold to Mr. Baker through Mr. Breckenbridge. Now there was a confusion, and due to that confusion, the goose in whose mouth the blue diamond was kept, came to Mr. Baker from Mr. Breckenbridge, and some other goose went with the rider. In despair, Ryder tried to recover the goose from Mr. Baker by having him waylaid by hoodlums. Now, we have discussed in the starting of the chapter, when Peterson got the goose, that the Mr. Baker, the one who was carrying the goose ahead of Peterson, was attacked by. So this is who was attacking. The rider was attacking Mr. Baker in order to get back that goose. But as it happened, neither did rider get the goose nor did recover the gem because Mr. Peterson came by and frightened the roughs away and brought the goose to Holmes. And what happened there when Mr. Baker was attacked? Peterson moved forward to help him, but both of them, the rider and Mr. Baker, left the goose and the hat at that particular place only and moved away. And in this way, the Peterson got the hat and the goose. So, here in this way, the Holmes and the Watson solved the mystery of that missing blue diamond, the hat, and the goose. Now, since you people must be having